Persians. All right.
I think I might need to cut this a bit short. Um, Literally, my head's nodding away,
Oh dear.
trying to be helpful, but
Okay.
oh,
We'll finish off a couple of just these concepts and then bounce, eh?
yeah, cool.
So yeah, like we actually need to work on. I guess this is just a tooling discussion, right? Which is something we're sort of trying to avoid, but it seems like there's a lot of area for improvement on these tools that are not going to be, like OpenAI may release something that is like a decision tree editor or view, but there will always be room for that kind of control plane, like that control mechanism is starting to present as consistent, and like from here on in it's all about decision trees and being able to see like what were the options. So it's kind of like a very skilled developer coming up to you and saying, well, I could solve it this way, that way, that way, or that way, and if you go that way then there's these two options. It's that kind of way of looking at it.
Is it Okay, I'll challenge this with another arena, which I think is
Yeah.
quite useful, which is in translation.
Right.
So idioms
Right.
between languages
Right.
can have a few different ways of expressing it, and
Yeah, or they don't map correctly.
right, exactly. So the question is it valuable to be able to mix and match, or do you want to stick to the same kind of idiom throughout?
I think that whatever you choose, there's like a set of base rules that you always want. Like you always want it consistent. You always want to choose one strategy over another. But
Hmm.
within that, there are always realms for choices to be made. And this ability to extract or present back what the strategy options are
Hmm.
excellent, because it means that you should be able to point that at the bot for it to remember and think about for next time, so that its chance of choosing the right strategy is higher, because every time you choose something it records it as a preference, and then it works towards being more like that, with the goal that eventually you just go yes, 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 and you're like, yep, this thing is now trained to me, to my preferences, but it's only ever going to be done by decision trees. And the warning I would give us on that area is that one of OpenAI's big hoo ha sort of like celebration announcements for fine tuning was this. It was like a decision tree tuning
Hmm.
thing,
Hmm.
right? So I wouldn't be surprised if, that they're thinking up something like that. I think we can't help but walk this narrow edge between us making tools that we can see that are cool and the big boys dropping tools that just wipe us out. But I do starting to feel braver now after our talk from last week about tier 1, 2, and 3,
Mm.
in that actually, if we could make the tool quicker, there's always a next tool. So even if the big boys drop something that wipes out a tool that we thought was cool, there's always another tool, and another one, another one. And if we can
Right.
make them faster, that's the win. If we can just
Yeah.
absorb them and make them faster every time, like you can't beat that. It's like we're
Or
always,
easier to consume as well, because tier one is never that easy to consume.
it's always Christ Almighty dorky to consume. Like my colleague at work today sort of looked at me and laughed when he'd pulled up the open, because he's a Gemini AI guy, and he
Oh,
pulled up
okay.
the OpenAI pricing page, and he was like, "What is this shit?" And he was scrolling
Yeah.
through it for effect, and it was like 8 to 10 pages of pricing information. I'm like, Fair point, actually. That's
Hmm.
not a very easy thing to consume. Like, when would I choose O4 Mini versus O3 Pro? Like, when is that the right moves?
Yeah, yeah, precisely.
Um,
Um, and yeah, the tier three guys are always going to get wiped out because overnight
they're
we
done.
could just do it.
They're
You know,
done, and it's really just the sunset on their industry. But
yeah,
Tier 2 is always going to be in a battle with Tier 1 because Tier 1's going to sort of hold back the goodies that Tier 2 needs in order to release their own sort of Tier 3 wrapper. But that's always going to be cut off or flanked by competing model makers that didn't have the product success. And so Tier 2 is kind of what's left over after Tier 1. Tier 1 has a fight with each other to try and be Tier 3, and then what's left over is these like splintered, shattered, broken pieces that are tier 2, and we're like, no, we'll take that. We only
yeah,
need the pieces.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
precisely.
yeah. So anyway, that's where all that's at. The decision tree thing feels good. The fact that we can make tools very quickly, it's got to be the thing that we aim for. This interface, I mean, can it do what we need? I hope, and that's what I'm relying on you for, is to sort of poke around at trying to imagine your situations. And admittedly, I got to give you more stuff so you can poke at it deeper. But that seems the danger to me is like, it feels very solid. Please find out how it's not, because I can't. I'm like, it does everything I want, and now I'm questioning, do I want the right things? You know, like,
Right, right. And the path to that seems to be straightforward, which is as soon as I get my teeth into this, we'll be having these conversations about I tried to do that. This is my intent. It did this. I liked it to do that.
right. And the goal always being that we turn it into a way that the agents can detect your problem, so that eventually I'm getting just a stream of curated stacks, not
Yeah.
manual like, hey, this thing, that thing. So I think
Exactly.
there's some areas appearing that are going to require work, such as the reproducibility. So being able to include in a transclude the what you were doing in the interface or what you were doing with the NAP, and packaging that up so you got a clean reproduction. That's sort of one area. Yeah, it's just fucking weird, dude. It just feels like, yeah, it does everything, but it still feels empty. Maybe that's just
Well, there's I'd propose that you just get that base thing out where you can pull in um, different parts of even one repo, ideally multiple repos,
yeah.
into a context, and then talk to it, and then that chat is a thing, like we were talking the other day. I can make hay with that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll get you that, and then you can show me the hay, because I'm like, that's
Yeah,
cool. Because I guess I'm trying to replace my notebook. I want to replace that with this platform. I want to
yeah,
replace my file system with that notebook, and I want to replace my calendar and emails.
yeah.
And if it does
Well,
that, I mean, that's pretty good, right?
well, interesting enough, I've been looking forward to exactly that because at the moment I'm hand moving, files around, and I was like, oh, what's that folder again? Hunt and peck, hunt and peck. Oh, there it is. And then sometimes I get it wrong, and I have to do a search, and search on a laptop is, shit.
Hmm.
Um, and then even when you found it, you need to then re-ingest it through your eyes, which is not a great
Oh,
way of
yeah. No, that sucks.
ingesting information. Um, so even just that kind of bare bones functionality would be immense.
All right, cool. Okay, well, we'll get to that. it's I don't know when exactly, but it's like kind of any day now sort of thing. So
Yeah, cool.
I'll just keep at it. Thanks for
If it's any, if, for what it's worth, because we've got a cadence of like 2 days. Um, so since Monday, it looks like it's moved on quite a chunk.
all right. Oh, that's good. Well, that's that's really helpful. It's super difficult. Like I feel super lost because it's like so much going on that it's sort of hard to. Normally, I would gauge time in a software project by the coding work I'd done, you know.
Yeah,
But
I
now
know.
gauging time is like I've now worked on 15 different apps, and I'm like, whoa, fuck. Like,
Yeah, it's like navigating through an idea space, isn't it?
yeah, it's wild. It's sort of I don't know if you remember the whole Interbit platform that we tried to make that had like identity and payments and it had a range of different applications in it. Because that's what the Vancouver team was doing. That ultimately the Minsk team took over, but it's we're literally building that
Yeah.
and using codecs instead of people, and so that was actually a big undertaking, and now we're doing it here. So
Oh, what was it? About $120,000 a month for those guys as well.
yeah, I know that's a lot.
That's a
Um,
lot of money.
yeah. So is it okay to switch topics?
Yeah, yeah, please do.
One more picture for you that you were interested in the undersea cable map. The current
Uh,
flights map is good
oh, that's like, oh,
as a way of measuring technology and
that is interesting, isn't it?
right. And if you want to talk about saturation, you know what I mean? Like
What's that? Oh God, is there a URL for this? Assume you pulled this from what flight radar.
flight radar, yeah.
I'm really interested in those holes.
Well, that's Ukraine, that's
Yeah,
Israel, Iran, Iraq,
yeah,
and
and
that's
then
that's Tibet. It's actually just really high mountains. But
oh, because of India and Pakistan.
no, Pakistan's down here.
Yeah, no, but they're both fighting over Tibet. Well, no,
No,
yeah.
China's fighting it. China's no one's.
Uh,
That's the. I believe that
why
that's
is
the
that happening?
Himalayas, and it's merely a case of that you don't want to fly over
Oh,
that
well,
because
maybe geography.
you'll hit something.
Yeah,
Um,
this is fascinating. I might play with this. I'm
yeah,
looking at
this flight.
that one flight way up the top right hand corner in the middle of nowhere. Going, dude. Well,
This
no,
guy.
no, the other one to the left.
This one.
Where you? Yeah, it's like, whoa,
This
you're being
one.
ballsy.
This one is
Yeah.
apparently the most lonely flight on the planet. This is the
Uh-huh.
flight from Santiago, Chile, to Auckland, New Zealand, and it is the only one
And you own the skies.
that
You
whole
can do
way.
anything you want.
And if you go down on that flight, nobody is finding you. I don't think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Fair enough.
Um, the other topic I wanted to note was what I think a great pitch for Kenya or any developing nation is.
Uh huh.
Um, and I don't think it depends on the Dreamcatcher or any of the things that we. It's just about trying to find like what is the genuine best thing that a country that wants AI innovation, what should they do?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it's that concept of setting up a company's registry with an AI director where the government manages and supplies the AI director, and then the people inside it can do anything that they can convince the director to be okay with.
Mm. Yeah,
Because, like,
that's
what,
an extension of what we're talking about.
yeah. And then,
Rules
like,
of the
if
game.
the benefit of Kenya is that because they can make rules, that's what they should flaunt. And so being able to make a rule like that is a very powerful thing. And then what you'd do is you'd like grant tax breaks if people choose to set up their company in that way, um, and then deregulate the capital that can come in because you're holding the regulation because you control the model. And so you don't need to set regulatory rules. You are the director. Like it could be 10,000 companies, but it's actually one director, one agent
Mm-hmm.
acting
Mm-hmm.
on them all. And if you want to change any rule, you just change the rule in the director, which means that you can rapidly change to any rule change or any bad behavior or emergent behaviors you don't like. You can steer the whole cluster of companies just by altering that agent rather than like a
Mm-hmm.
rule change and then some people have to get it and then this and blah, 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 blah. You can just like in a blink update everyone.
Right. Right. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And then ultimately, what you should do is so there's a stock exchange in Nairobi that kicked off in like 1952 or whatever. But eventually, if you can make those companies tradable, then you're really cooking. Like you're like
Mm-hmm.
AI directors, public stock market where anybody can put money in and you know it's safe because the director's taking care of it.
It's an extension of what we're saying for Dreamcatcher, which is basically trust in the AI. And if you trust in the AI, then for those table stakes, you get a hell of a faster
Mm.
loop. You get access
Yeah.
to a whole bunch of
And
innovation and
I think that that's
changes.
better. That's better than trying to do like AI education programs because you're just letting people go ahead and do it, and
Right,
you're
right. But
allowing them to actually
yeah,
be entrepreneurs without getting burnt, without like all the administrative overhead that kills people, without making bad money decisions that
mhm.
no professional or no experienced person would make. And then now you got an entrepreneur that got burnt, offended his family, burnt the family savings, all that stuff. Well, it didn't need to happen, or the classic one didn't pay their taxes, and then got a big tax bill, got shut down, ended up in more debt than when they ever started. Like, you really want to just give people a way to just have a go safely without getting their fingers burnt or their kneecaps shot or anything like that. And I think this is the only way to do it.
I agree. I think this. So at the moment, I'm planning on going out to Kenya in July to that conference I was talking about.
What day?
This, I don't have an exact date. Second half of July. It may not happen. Yeah,
I'm
because
real keen for that.
yeah,
I'm
could
real keen
be.
for that.
Um, it's not certain yet, and also unfortunately, that's like in the middle of the school holidays, and so flights are fucking expensive. Um,
To
like
Kenya.
three
Who's going to
times.
Kenya for their holiday?
Quite a few people, pardon me.
Oh, okay.
Kenya's quite popular. Um, so I'm trying to get them to pay for it.
Right.
Um,
All right. Well, it,
but the point being, I guess, is this is not because I'm finding Dreamcatcher too much of the turkey to eat at once.
it also doesn't matter. Like, it's too much of the details as well. Like,
Yeah,
how you run your agents, not important. The key thing is putting agents in charge of companies. The details, no one really cares. Everyone can see that there's some way to do that. There will be some boring ass bunch of committees that get together to make sure that that agent runs correctly and yada yada yada. But no
yeah,
one cares. And assigning fair value is probably too unnecessary at this point. Like, assigning
yeah,
any value, it basically just start off with just making safety rails.
yeah.
Like,
We're in a strange situation where we're solving something that looks unsolvable, and so when you try and say, "Hey, here's a solution," people don't, get
yeah.
it.
Well, half the time it's not even considered a problem that is. It's not even seen as a problem. it's so pervasive that it's just considered that that's just the way the world is. You're always going to argue and you got to fight
Yeah,
to get your fair go. It's just not.
yeah.
It's
It's like
not
asking a
even.
fish, what water is. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like what's water. So um, basically, you'd end up with this zero liability model where entrepreneurs could genuinely go and have a go without ripping anyone off, without hurting anybody, without hurting themselves. They could genuinely try and get a business idea off the ground, and they'd be learning AI as they went, and they'd be
It,
trading with companies that already had AI. And it's like you can't get any faster than that.
yeah. It also, I mean, this is obviously subjective, but it does appeal to my libertarian ideas of what you do is build incentives as opposed to force feed anyone anything.
Yes and no, but it's not even incentives in the case of an AI director. It's just removing every possible friction, every
No, that
possible hurdle.
that is an incentive. If you compare one or two things where you got lots of hurdles and fewer hurdles, you're going to go for fewer hurdles,
True, but
especially if
when you
you're
say the word incentive, it actually sounds like a carrot versus the
ah
removal of the sticks is not a carrot, but it is
yeah,
a
yeah.
reason to choose.
I wrap those two together in one
Yeah,
kind of bundle.
yeah, but I get what you mean. I also wanted to the last point I wanted to make that I hope may help you in your discussions is that um, Kenya, the people from Kenya seem very attuned to this concept that they've been able to leap a few of the tech cycles to their advantage,
Yeah,
and they kind of feel cocky or cheeky about it because they're like, yeah, we didn't lay copper, but
there
then
you
we
go.
all went to sell where everyone else went to anyway, ta-da, without
Yeah,
all the overhead, right?
yeah.
But
Everyone
there's
else did the long way around.
yeah, there's
They
another
just leaped to
kind
the
of long
solution.
way. There's another kind of long way around that I'm not sure is in clear focus yet because
Hmm.
when all you've got is copper wires, you think that Kenya's backwards, but you're not thinking about what comes after the copper wire and can Kenya just adopt it because it hasn't happened yet, right? That's the stage that we're at with AI. And so when you look at this map, what I see here is actually you could roughly equate the coverage on that map to a completely worthless middle class that does
Hmm.
administrative jobs.
Hmm.
And so what's occurred is that just because of the current the technology was to get people into offices and doing knowledge work because that seemed to be the goal. Then we got
Right.
everyone, the majority of humans in these saturated countries are doing weightless work or knowledge based work. And now AI has come and those jobs are about to be replaced. They haven't been yet, but they're about to be replaced. And so Kenya is because Kenya doesn't have a thick, groaning, weighty
Friction. Yeah.
administrative bureaucracy because there was nothing to administer largely anyway in a lot of cases. They can leapfrog having all that because this is like civilization or advanced cities is really was being done by hand in areas that are now done by AI. And so they
Hmm.
have the opportunity, Kenya, to leapfrog ahead and have that elevated, highly intelligent, safe, regulated, um, idealized environment without any of the cost of that middle class, without wasting everyone's time on degrees of business administration,
Hmm.
um, all that stuff. And so that's another area that if you can figure out a nice way to say that and shape it, you can tell them that that's the next leapfrog that they're going to have. Like it'd be like turning up to a telecommunications conference in the 60s with a cell phone and being like, hey, Kenya, this is going to be you. You're going to jump across fuck all that cable, fuck all that fiber. This is your future. That is sort of the same pitch I think you want to make, right? Is like
I
kill
think
the
that's
admin
brilliant.
class
I think that is brilliant.
and make sure that the admin class never, ever takes hold. Like, cut it off now and skip it completely. Have no admin class. What's left, we're not sure. But you're going to find out. Everyone's going to find out. You can get ahead of the game by just cauterizing the admin class off before it even fucking became the cancer that it is to the saturated nations.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I'm gonna think about this. I like this a lot.
I think that's
The
a good one, right? That's a good
yeah,
angle.
there's I can't remember the bloke's name, but you remember that Mars novel um that had the spaceport in Kenya, which was, I think, was a genius place to put a spaceport. You're right on the equator. You've got a stable country, prosperous country.
Mate, that's a
Um,
fabulous, fabulous idea. Yeah. Plus, like it's a perfect time zone as well. It's like +3, so then you're like up first, just as all of Europe wakes up.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
I like Kenya a lot.
I think
But
it's that East Africa strip. I think is really ripe because
right,
they've got their heads screwed on, but they've also got a burning need
yeah,
to get up the scale.
yeah. I think if you can package that pitch that I'm trying to sort of grasp at is like the leapfrogging is this admin, and if you can get them in the idea that you should kill admin now at its root,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
put the AI in right from the get go,
Yeah.
and then fucking
Yeah.
let rip.
Then you're cutting out. God, I don't know. Percentage wise, you're cutting out a huge amount of cost.
Cost and waste, and you're finding out what comes after it. And I mean, it's just so frustrating in business that you can even do something wrong. Like that's
Hmm.
the stupidest thing. It's like it shouldn't be possible to drive your car off a cliff. Like why can't the car stop that? That's just dumb. And so
Yeah.
it is with companies and taxes and stuff like that. It's like just make a machine that does all that for you, so the person running the company can get on with all the other really hard stuff.
The I think there's a tipping point here, isn't there? Because there's a lot of economic activity around the world that is cash in hand. As soon as you get more cash for being compliant with tax
Yep.
rules,
Yep. Yep.
then yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You'd
if
be
it was baked
stupid
into
not
the
to be
money,
compliant. Yeah,
if it was baked into the money and it was advantageous not to the government but to the people, because you're like,
yeah, yeah. Because cash in hand is in many countries the main problem that they can't get tax receipts and that they can't fund infrastructure, which that infrastructure would benefit the companies that are doing cash in hand.
right. But then also like if you're able to process that amount of information, you should be able to make it rewarding, so that if a company paid a lot of tax, they might even be given a say as to what infrastructure projects they would like the money to go
Right,
to. And then
right,
when those projects show yield, those companies would get as part of their returns. Is like, why don't I get a dividend from all the tax I paid in a country? Like, why isn't it like shares? Like, I bought shares in a company and my tax bought shares in the country. They should give me a dividend,
mm-hmm,
and everyone should get billed for the infrastructure that they use. And it's sort of, it needs to be much more. It destroys information right now. Like we pay your money and in your tax, and then it destroys who it came from, what they cared about, what they needed, and it completely severs the link between what I used and what I paid,
yeah,
which is fucking bananas, really.
yeah,
Right? And then you start getting infrastructure projects that are more what people want, where an AI was able to decide that, yeah, that makes good sense. Like people should be voting on the rules that an AI uses to make decisions, not what to actually do, because humans are hopeless at that. And then
Yeah,
you get these infrastructure projects that have benefits to everyone, but then people get paid for them too. Like that's what you want.
yeah. Then you end up with a big enough grouping, another Panama Canal, for example, because the current one is struggling.
Yeah, yeah. And you're never going to get projects like that off the ground from a democratic point of view unless you have a more advanced coordination mechanism like an AI that sort of just looks at the whole thing, billions and billions of information points, and just goes, that is on every angle we've run it. That next Suez Canal is the best thing for us to do. So,
Yeah, yeah. That is that is a brilliant idea.
yeah, so I'm pretty happy about all that with Kenya, actually. I'll just
Yeah.
keep chipping along, I guess. I'm feeling, you're probably sick of hearing it, but I'm feeling fucking weird, dude. Like, I'm like, is this really it? Maybe it is.
I
I
think
mean,
I think it might be.
it might
Um,
just be.
and tackling it at the national level, I think it's going to really pay
Hmm.
much better than chipping away at SMEs.
Screw SMEs, because SMEs, like, it just, it's this problem all over again. Like, when you're in there, like, what's the point? Like, you want to be in this whole untouched.
Yeah,
Like, look at it.
I know. You
It's
think of the
just
resources.
potential.
You think of the resources. Tanzania, I'm very excited about as well. Those guys are sitting on riches.
Yeah, but it's not. I think the riches might be not what we think, right? Like, it's people, smart people, not
Yeah,
not the dirt in the ground. It, it's what can all these people, because if there's no planes there, then there's no technology, which means that all these people are largely in the dark, but
I'm
they ain't
surprised there's not
stupid.
more. I'm surprised there's not more planes over Nigeria. Nigeria is very interesting. 100 million people, um, and a lot who are tech savvy enough to run, scam email links.
Yeah, but do they have enough money to buy a Dreamliner?
Well, I think it's ossified into some very, very, very rich people and quite a lot of poor people.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, right? Like, inequality is massive in these countries. And so, if there was a way that we could sort of tap everyone's brains, that's probably the resource that you want, I guess.
Yeah, I was thinking about an analogy the other day, which is an osmotic membrane um, that can actually, you put an osmotic membrane, which is analogous to a battery. Effectively, it
Mm,
does work because you got random things happening, but you have a non-random chance of flipping from one side to the next, or you have
right,
a biased chance.
right, right.
Um, uh, and setting up something where there is slightly more chance of doing something that improves, your personal wealth or the wealth of the nation, whichever. Putting that osmotic membrane up in the highest energy areas, because well, okay, this is a half-arsed idea. Put up an osmotic membrane, pure water on one side, the other side is sugar water. If you add heat to it, as in there is more Brownian motion, then the reaction that can create work in the kind of Watts style um, goes up substantially. So even a small improvement in an area of high energy makes a difference. The
Right,
only
but
point,
that would indicate that dropping down in the saturated areas makes sense.
no, because saturated areas, there's no
Oh, the differential.
gradients. Yeah, there's no
Right,
gradient
right.
between
So
the two.
these are like massive gradients, and if we can sort of like, those are the places to make gains, right? Because it's like
Yeah, precisely.
a 50% gain to someone here is monumentally better than a 2% gain
Yeah, yeah,
to
because
someone here.
yeah, in the US and Europe, even just looking at this map, I would argue that it's actually already reached equilibrium, and you could stick in a new membrane, and it's like,
Yeah,
it's not going to make that much difference.
no. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm going to spend a bit of time on this one. I think this is a valuable idea.
all right, I'll stop recording, huh?
Yeah.